Hello everyone, welcome back to YK Reviews. For today's video, it's going to be the second last movie of the franchise with Hellraiser 10, Judgement. So let's get into it here. So with Hellraiser 10, it's sort of the last one before the whole reboot of it. And with this one, it sort of takes a similar vibe to like the psychological aspect, psychological thriller. But what I liked with this one is that you start off with the opening sequences. You get introduced to like one of the Cenobites called the Auditor, I believe it was. He's having a conversation with Pinhead and they're discussing like new ways to torture victims, keeping up with like the modern age basically. So then you get introduced to like one of the victims who is a let's just say he like messes around with kids in a really inappropriate way. He sits down with the Auditor's like interviewing him, interrogating him, typing everything on a typewriter, and then he goes to the next room where like everything that was typed out is put on a plate for this guy to start using a knife and fork and just like eating this paper, to then just throw it up and just have all that puke go into a tube where these females are just eating that puke, and they then just like pour like this liquid thingy into this guy and just end up killing him. Just like a really disturbing sequences there. So then the movie is progressing. We get introduced to the two lead characters, basically these two brother detectives who are chasing this serial killer, and he's called the Preceptor, who is basically killing according to like the 10 commandments of God basically. So they go into like the apartment where they see this female has died because the serial killer has sewed her dog inside her stomach because she treats the dog like a baby basically, which is just horrific. And that's where you get introduced to like the third detective, this female who is basically supposed to keep an eye on one of like the main detectives there because of like the psychological aspect essentially. And I'll be honest, I found their like dialogues, their conversations sort of like bland and a bit boring. There wasn't really much personality between the three of them together. It was sort of just very monotone. So like the movie's progressing, the main like detective, the main brother, who is Sean, he finds a lead. So he goes to like this house. They're doing this investigation, and then you've got an appearance from Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street appearing there. It's like one of the characters there, so it was like a nice little shout out to that. But then he clues in something, so he goes to like the house where he has this interaction with the Auditor basically. So I really liked that like scene where they're having this conversation. He's just brutally honest, answering all the questions as the Auditor's typing up everything. The Auditor then like gives a piece of paper to the person throwing up, and because of the brutality that this Sean person has done, he ends up like choking on it and like suffering. And then you get introduced to heaven. So they introduce this concept in this movie, which I found very fascinating, because you've always got the hell aspect. So now they got introduced to the heaven aspect, and so this angel from heaven appears and intervenes and tells them to let him go. And that's when you see like the little interaction with like the Auditor and Pinhead asking like what to do now and stuff like that. Like nice little details to that, because in the movie's progressing, you see like little hints of like the day-to-day life. You see Sean, there's like interactions with his wife, you see the interactions with the two brothers and that kind of stuff. Like I said, these characters were a little bit bland and a bit boring, and the conversations just weren't that interesting for me, to be honest with you. Because as we're like the movie's progressing, like that female detective and the brother David are like trying to clue in and see what's going on, and they decide that they need to like follow Sean. So this female detective Christine and Sean end up using like one of the victims' phone as a GPS tracker to go to like the serial killer's location. And that's when you're revealed that Sean is actually the serial killer, which you sort of like expected it, and it sort of reveal wasn't as shocking because you don't really get any other characters being introduced in the movie. You don't really see any other hints or anything like that, so it had to be like one of the brothers. Like for me, that's my mindset, and that's why I wasn't as shocked. But you come to find out that the reason why he started all of this was because his wife was having an affair with his own brother. So that's the reason why he started doing all this killing rituals basically. And he forces his brother and this detective to open up the box so that he can make a deal with Pinhead once again. But with Pinhead like realizing that this guy is like a serial killer, he declines the deal. He says that he'll deal with these two people afterwards because they opened up the box. He's getting ready to torture Sean. He's got the chains and everything, but that's when once again the angel appears, basically saying that like they need Sean to bring fear of God to everybody. He wants to continue the ways, explaining to Sean that he will be punished in the future, but they need him to spread that fear of God to everybody in the real world. So Pinhead, what he does is that he sends Sean back only for like Christine to just basically shoot him straight away, which pisses off the angel, but I just thought that was so funny to do. And Pinhead, what he does is he just got no fear, no remorse. He starts torturing the angel, which then causes Pinhead to be now expelled from hell. He's now as like a regular mortal in Earth, now living day-to-day life as like his ultimate punishment. So he's basically banished from hell. And so like the movie sort of closes up with that, and you have that post-credit scene of like two German Jehovah's Witnesses there who knock on the door to see the auditor opening up the door, but nothing's really explained or like delved into in terms of that aspect. So the post-credit scene, I honestly just had no clue what that was about. Maybe just indicating that the auditors now become the new Pinhead, now become the new person in charge of hell. But in terms of overall in this movie, I definitely enjoyed it. In terms of like the psychological aspect was so much better than the 5, 6 and 7. It had a good vibe, but the characters were bland, a little bit boring. It was sort of a bit predictable, but I enjoyed that they spread out like Pinhead, the hell part, hell versus heaven. Like you had more of a Hellraiser feel to it compared to like 5, 6 and 7, and the previous one was enjoyable, I'll be honest, too. So like this one is a little bit of a step up. Like 8, 9 and 10 are a huge step up compared to 5, 6 and 7. So if you are going to do a binge watch of the Hellraiser 1 to 4, skip 5, 6 and 7, Hellraiser 8, Hellraiser 9, I'll leave it to your imagination if you want to prefer watching that or not, but I do think it's a great lore and a great way to like introduce back like the Hellraiser concept. And then Hellraiser 10 was fun to watch too. So for me, I definitely enjoyed this one, and it was a great end to like the Hellraiser franchise before this whole reboot came out. So I definitely do recommend this movie. Just bear in mind too that the Auditor is such a fun character. Pinhead is a much improved character compared to like the previous one. Hell versus Heaven was a nice concept, but your main leads slightly bland, I will be honest. But this is my thoughts and my take on Hellraiser 10. Keep an eye out on the channel for Hellraiser the reboot one coming out, also along with there's going to be a Spirit Halloween movie that I'll be doing a review on as well, wrapping up the month of October along with the tier ranking video. So keep an eye out on that too. And once again, if you've seen the movie, let me know down in the comment section below what you thought about the movie and the Hellraiser franchise in general. I've done a playlist of Chucky and Halloween, so the links will be somewhere in this video here. So if you love these like Halloween horror type movie playlists, check those out too. But again, thank you so much for watching and thank you so much for listening. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out. So much more content coming your way as well as we wrap up the end of 2022. But again, this is YK Reviews. Peace.